This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, you know, if I didn't have such short arms, I would reach across this table and hug that man. Yes, the team together again. Kenny B returning after a 2-week hiatus. I think that is cause for celebration.
Well, wait a minute, maybe after the show. First and foremost, we've got some really good stories to share. Coming up, ag in the classroom, ag in front of it, behind it, there's ag everywhere. Damon Jones on why the waiting list to get into this Fulton County school is a lengthy one. Another PB&J day at the state capitol proves to be successful. Why this yearly event is so important in raising awareness of Georgia peanuts.
Plus, it started off as just a diversion, something to do on long weekends. Then it became a mission, an obsession even. Hear for yourself how this Warner Robbins couple visited nearly all of the GFB certified farm markets over the course of just a few months. These stories and so much more starting right now on the Farm Monitor.
While agriculture might not be the first industry that comes to mind when you're talking about Fulton County, it is home to one of the top ag in the classroom programs in Georgia. Damon Jones recently took a trip to Chattahoochee Hills Charter School and tells you about their unique approach to teaching through agriculture.
Described as a diamond in the woods, this school tucked away just outside the bustling city of Atlanta aims to bring their students closer to nature. Chattahoochee Hills Charter, which educates grades kindergarten through 8th, is breaking the mold of conventional classroom learning with a curriculum that focuses in on arts, agriculture, and the environment.
So at a typical day, you come to school despite whatever the weather is. Our students know, our parents know, they put on their boots, they put on their jackets. They come on out and you might see a chicken greeting you when you come out the door. So what we do is we teach the value of the smallest form of life. And so if our students can learn how to value the smallest form of life, then they truly will value human life.
Unlike other programs, students here get a chance to apply the math and science they learn outside the classroom, thanks to the farm, gardens, and nature trails spread across the school grounds.
Because these are skills and experiences that you wouldn't get in a regular 4-wall brick and mortar school. Our children are getting lifelong lessons every day, and every day is different because nature is different. Getting the opportunity for children to come out of the cities, come back into the rural area and really see what their grandparents did and how they sustained their families from farming. We want each student here to be able to understand that full cycle. And so now when something gets on their plate, yes, they taste the beauty of it and the value of it, but they really understand where it came from.
And that knowledge will help these students really appreciate all the hard work farmers put in to provide food and fiber to the world on a daily basis.
We have to make sure that our students understand the true value of food and the process that it takes to get that food to your plate. Personally, I'm a farmer, so I understand the plight of living the life of a farmer. And so when you understand the value, then you won't devalue the people who put their work in.
With technology like iPhones and computers dominating the landscape, schools and programs like this are becoming more important than ever as kids are spending less and less time outside. It's also a learning experience that might push future generations towards agriculture and conservation.
The children that go here are our next George Washington carvers. You know, they're our next environmentalists. And we really believe that one person, one child can change the world. And so getting them to fall in love with the little ant and know how the value of a ladybug, you know, and know that you have to, you know, you plant certain flowers next to the tomatoes so that the pests won't come. You know, all those little things that our grandparents knew for survival, our students here will learn that.
Reporting from Chattahoochee Hills, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
In other ag news, following a rough 2019 planting season that saw 20 million acres go unplanted, the USDA Outlook projections are calling for a significant bounce back in planted acres. John Newton, chief economist for the American Farm Bureau, breaks down the numbers.
Given an expansion in acreage for both corn and soybeans and a bounce back in yields, his corn and soybean production are both going to increase in 2020. Wheat production is expected to decline slightly in 2020 on the lower acreage and a slight yield reduction. Cotton production is expected to fall slightly based on a decrease in acreage, but slightly offset by an improvement in yields. We're expected to see exports bounce back a little bit, still below where they were a couple years ago before the trade war started. We're going to see soybean supplies tighten up again. That should lead to higher prices. On the corn side, demand's simply not going to be able to keep up with supply, and thus USDA has corn stocks projected to be at 2.6 billion bushels, a record high, and a slight decrease in the corn price for 2020. USDA is expecting record production just about in all livestock categories. Dairy production expected at 222 billion pounds, but we will see higher milk prices, higher pork prices, higher cattle prices. I think the only sector where there is some weakness is going to be in the broiler space. Lower prices there, but higher prices for eggs and turkey. Then on the same side of the coin, lower feed prices for those folks.
All right, in the meantime, equine enthusiasts will tell you there is something a little extra special about the bond between a horse and its rider, especially if the rider is hanging upside down or standing on the horse's back. Case in point, the Riata Ranch Cowboy Girls.
Yeah, they are something, that's for sure, and they've traveled the world providing breathtaking entertainment with their trusted steeds. Our John Holcomb spent time with them during their stop at the Georgia National Rodeo.
It was a showdown in Perry recently at the Georgia National Rodeo, as riders came from all over to try to win some cash. It's a sight to see, as riders jump on the backs of bucking horses and rodeo clowns make fun of them for falling off. But this year at the rodeo, spectators got to see something quite spectacular, as the Riata Ranch Cowboy Girls came into the arena and captivated everyone's attention with breathtaking stunts. The act, which is from California, has been traveling all over the world and turning heads since the 70s.
So in 1976, our founder at Riata Ranch decided that he wanted to start an entertainment division at his ranch, at his riding school, which was actually more than a riding school. It was more about learning ranching and Western lifestyles. Just happened to be rolled into a riding school, and we just had a lot of young ladies that were riding there, and it was commonplace to be partnered with or mentored by a state or national champion in all kinds of divisions, and it was absolutely magical and wonderful.
They're a unique group because the ranch brings people from all over the world to train and be a part of the team. The only requirement is that they know how to ride a horse.
We're mostly known for our acrobatic trick riding routines, but what makes the Riata Ranch program and the Riata Ranch team, Riata Ranch Cowboy Girls, unique is that in our training process, we invite people to come from all over the world to come train, and we invite equestrians to be a part of this part of our program. You have to know already how to ride. So tonight you're going to see two young ladies from Australia, a young lady from Colorado, and myself, and we will comprise the performance.
As you would imagine, this type of riding and performing isn't easy, which is why it takes years to get people ready before they can step foot into the arena and perform with the team.
What we require to be a part of the Riata team is you have to have a certain level of horsemanship, and we can teach you that at the ranch. Now, if you already come with being able to participate and you have skills that match the level that we're looking for horsemanship-wise, then we begin the process of teaching you to trick ride. And I can tell you that it's about a 2-year process of bringing people over, because it's more than just trick riding and roping for us. We also work on teamwork and mentorship and team building, confidence. You have to learn the show part of it. It is one thing to learn to do the actual skill. It's another thing to be able to take that skill and put it in the arena and make it work for you, and do it to the level that is expected, especially from a show like this.
In the end, they just want to put on a good show for everyone to enjoy and show off all of their hard work.
Just know that everything that you're going to see that our girls do takes them an incredible amount of time and energy, and we're only in the arena for just a snapshot. We're just one piece of the whole rodeo event. These girls work so hard. We all work really hard to put our best foot forward and to give you the best possible entertainment that we can possibly do.
Reporting in Perry for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Thank you, John. After the break, they traveled the state of Georgia, hitting as many of the certified farm markets as possible. Skip and Denny's excellent adventures. That's next. Well, in case you didn't know, March is National Peanut Month, and with Georgia being the nation's largest producer of peanuts, industry leaders gathered at the state capitol to celebrate the occasion with their annual PB&J Day. And as the name suggests, not only did those in attendance get to hear about the many health benefits of peanuts, but they got to experience them as well.
This event's been going on here for probably 30 years, and we got roasted peanuts, fried peanuts. We've been having boiled peanuts, but there's none here this year. And we have the PB&J sandwiches, so it's just a good event for us to come and get Peanut Month kicked off each year here at the Capitol.
Last year, Congress passed an additional Supplemental Appropriations for Disaster Relief Act, which led to the creation of the WIP Plus program. The new program was expanded to cover additional disaster events in 2018 and 2019, including drought, excess moisture, and quality losses, which impacted a large part of the farmers in the southwestern United States. Reese Langley, Vice President of Washington Operations for the National Cotton Council, explains how the new program will work for cotton producers.
The program will operate very similar to the previous WIP program, although there are a few improvements included. One of those is the WIP factor that determines how large of a WIP payment will be made based on the level of crop insurance coverage that a producer has. Those WIP factors have been increased slightly at each of the insurance coverage levels. Another provision that's included is additional prevented planting payments on prevent plant claims that were made in 2019, and those prevented planting payments will be an additional 15% of whatever the indemnity was that was provided under crop insurance, unless the crop insurance coverage was a policy that had the harvest price exclusion option, and those would only get an additional 10% of the original indemnity. One negative in the new program is the payment limitation level has been reduced in this version. While in the original WIP, growers that had at least 75% of their adjusted gross income from agriculture could have a payment limit of $900,000. However, in this version, if you meet that AGI requirement, the payment limit is $250,000 per crop year. So if producers had some losses in the 2018 crop and then some in 2019, it's $250,000 per year up to that maximum. However, if you do not meet the AGI provision, then the payment limitation is $125,000. So that's going to be an issue and concern in some areas, particularly for growers that not only are producing cotton and other row crops, but also may have specialty crops and others that are also going to qualify for WIP support.
Discover Georgia, support local farmers, and experience fresh food. That's the basis behind the Georgia Farm Bureau's Farm Passport program, which is now in year 2 of existence and serves as a great way for would-be travelers to visit over 78 certified farm markets throughout Georgia. After hearing about the program on a local newscast, Skip Mills and Denny Douglas of Houston County ventured out. One market turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, and by the end of summer, the couple had logged over 2,000 miles and visited 63 of what was then 67 markets.
We were looking for a diversion, something to do on weekends, 3-day weekends, because we typically spend most of our time at the beach. And hurricane kind of took our favorite spot out of the picture, so I said, okay, let me go pick up one of these booklets. And I did so at the Perry Farm Bureau office. And I picked her up after an appointment, and we just headed straight out to Pearson Farm, got some ice cream and some nuts, and so we thought it's a no-brainer. We can get a free t-shirt out of this by hitting 10 spots. Well, we ended up having so much fun, and I started logistically planning trips for the weekend that we would actually go, and I would map out using MapQuest's multi-stops.
It was a challenge, it was enjoyable, it was nice to meet so many people, and again, as Skip said, the places we went and the food, the treats were excellent. I grew up on what I refer to as a play farm. I grew up in a southern town south of here, and we had horses and goats and pigs, and it was just livestock. we didn't farm like a lot of the major agricultural cotton or corn, but it was enjoyable, so I grew up around that.
We went as far as Kingsland over in Brunswick, Dixie, all the way up to Ringgold, over to Lakemont, Savannah, Columbus, everywhere in between. I found a 15-year-old road atlas that was stuck down underneath the entertainment center. I put it out on the table and circled every single location that we were going to go. And then I used the MapQuest multi-stop function and the websites from all the different certified farms to see when they're open, whether it's weekdays, weekends, if there's a certain window that they're only open, and mapped out our route, and we would hit that route and go from place to place. And as we visit each, we highlighted where we'd been on that map in yellow. And there were only 4 locations that we did not hit, and that was really by the virtue of the drought season shortening strawberry picking time. I mean, that was the only reason we didn't hit those last 4. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a diversion.
And I would go to work on, Monday morning, and your coworkers ask you, what did you do this weekend? And I would say, oh, we visited farms around Georgia. They're like, really? Why are you doing that? And so I would have an opportunity to explain the passport program.
The beauty of the program, it advertises what is already around you and available that people may not be aware, because a lot of the farmers, they don't have billboards up like Ellis Brothers or Lanes, but they're out there, and some of them are just feeding the members of their local community. They're feeding them the squash and the okra and the tomatoes or the pork or the beef. And for those that like to get out, that like to do a little agritourism, there's your motivation. Go beyond your locale and visit some of these people. They love to have you.
Yes, they would. And if you'd like to find a CFM near you, maybe do the Skip and Denny thing and try hitting them all, head over to gfb.org, click on the Outreach tab, followed by the Certified Farm Market link, then get out that old trusty road atlas like Skip did and plot your course.
Up next, the Dairy Alliance teams up with a 2-time Olympic athlete, the role milk plays in her training program, and why a family member is driving her more than ever.
My name is Trina Morris. I'm a wildlife biologist with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. I mostly work a lot with bats, and so I respond to a lot of requests related to bats and how we can protect them in their habitats. I spend a lot of time outside in the field, either trying to catch bats or monitor them. White nose syndrome is a disease that's affecting bats in North America, and we have seen declines in our bat populations in the northern part of the state in all the caves that we survey regularly. And the cave we went to the other day is in the middle part of the state, so it is a cave that hasn't shown any signs of white nose syndrome. It does not have very many bats in it, but we expect that if it starts to move further south, we will pick up some of the fungus in that cave. We found a few more bats than we normally find, so that was positive. We also did not see any signs of the fungus, which is another thing that we're always happy about. And the bats appeared to be, at least some of them looked like they were truly hibernating and some of them were in torpor. Overall, it was positive because we didn't see anything bad. We didn't find any dead bats, and that's always a good day when the bats look healthy and happy, and we can hope that the results come back without any positive swabs for the fungus. I grew up in rural southern Illinois and I spent a lot of time outside. I've always been a kid that wanted to be outside, and I didn't know you could be a wildlife biologist when I was younger. I thought you had to be a conservation officer if you wanted to work with wildlife. And when I started school, I found the Wildlife Society my first day on campus at Purdue University. And I immediately changed my major because I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I went straight through undergrad and then got a master's degree working with salamanders. And I've pretty much been in the field since I was 18. I think the most important thing that I do is supervise young biologists. But these young women are very excited about the field, and it is something that really brings new life into my work every day. And watching them go on to get graduate degrees and go on to get jobs in the field, it makes me feel really confident that the next generation of biologists are going to continue the work that we're doing and do even better things to help protect our natural resources into the future.
Before you know it, hundreds upon millions will be cheering on their favorite athletes as the 2020 Olympic Games commence in Tokyo.
And the dairy industry will be well represented as a number of those participants will be sporting the Team Milk logo. Damon Jones spoke with one whose message also hits close to home.
We've all seen the milk ads over the years, from "It does a body good" to "Where's your milk mustache?" And this year, the list of those promoting the industry include Olympic athletes as part of the Team Milk campaign. And what better spokespeople, as studies show the majority of them grew up on it.
9 out of 10 Olympic athletes grew up drinking milk. And, basically that it's directly tying into powering and providing nutrition for children. And it's a good target for moms, and there's great advertisement that's done that's really relatable for moms and kids alike.
One of those athletes spreading that message is two-time Olympic fencer Lee Kiefer, who certainly understands the importance of consuming the daily recommendation of dairy.
I grew up drinking milk with my siblings, and that kind of reminds me of my childhood and where I came from. Also, as a student and an athlete, dairy products are a very important source of fuel for my body and my brain to make sure I have enough energy and putting the right things in to be the high-functioning person I need to be every day.
Having a proper diet is essential for Lee and other Olympic hopefuls as they put in hours of intense work at the gym each and every day.
Right now, my goal is to go to the 2020 Olympics, my last Olympic Games, so I want to put out everything. I want to maximize my training. I want to treat my body well with the right food.
They're operating at the top of their game. They're at the peak of their physical and mental abilities, and as part of that, a nutritious diet definitely is integral to that. So dairy and milk being a piece of that diet is definitely something that is a powerful message.
It's a message that is especially important to Kiefer, who not only sees the benefits of dairy products every day as a med student at the University of Kentucky, but also in her personal life.
Last year she was diagnosed, and my grandma also has osteoporosis. And just knowing at a young age, if you're consuming dairy products and other forms of nutrient-rich food with vitamin D and calcium, you can prevent this, and of course the proper exercise too. So I think being in my position, being able to be an advocate for people to take care of themselves from a young age for their future health is important to me.
As for the overall message this campaign is hoping to spread, it's really quite simple.
Milk is nature's perfect food, and the protein, everything that we bring to the table is the original clean diet. It represents basic nutrition. It's the first nutrition that you have in life, and it's one of the last nutritions that you have in life. So it runs full circle.
Reporting from Stone Mountain, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Great job, Damon. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Farm Monitor.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening out on the farm. Be sure to check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us here on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.